Imagine you are minding your own business. Then you are literally sent to another planet where you have built something, you have a family, you have a whole life. And then you find out that the people who sent you there did it on purpose. This was not an accident, not a mistake, a decision that was made in secret about your life without asking you. Now imagine you are the Hulk, the strongest being on the planet, and those people, they are the Illuminati, the supposed heroes who sent you away under false pretenses, thinking you would remain on a planet where you could no damage, and now you get to come back where you want every single one of them to answer for what they did to you. Welcome to World War Hulk, and welcome to Powers and Panels, the show where we dive deep into the greatest Marvel and DC stories ever told. I am Zoe, and since my co-host is the actual comic book guy around here who knows about a lot of this stuff, I am going to hand this one over to him. Blaze, the floor is yours. Tell our listeners everything they need to know about this story, and I will be back later.
Thank you, Zoe. And she is not wrong. World War Hulk is one of the most visually stunning, satisfying stories Marvel has ever told because I ask a question that does not have an easy answer. What happens when heroes are wrong? Not villain wrong, not corrupt wrong, just genuinely, humanly, catastrophically wrong, and someone pays the price for it. I am Blaze. I'm the co-host here at Powers and Panels, and let's get into it. So, to understand World War Hulk, you have to understand what came before it, a storyline called Planet Hulk. And Planet Hulk begins with a decision, a terrible, well-intentioned, catastrophic decision. The Illuminati, a secret group of Marvel's most powerful minds, led by Tony Stark, Reed Richards, Professor X, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, and Namor, have been meeting in secrecy for years, making decisions they felt were too important or too dangerous to be made by a committee. And they decided that the Hulk had become too dangerous to remain on Earth. Bruce Banner had tried, he had really tried, but the Hulk kept destroying things. He kept hurting people. The body count was rising. The property damage was catastrophic. And the Illuminati concluded that the risk was simply too great. So they made a choice. They lured Bruce Banner onto a spaceship under false pretenses, told him they were sending him to a peaceful planet where he could live in peace without hurting anyone. And they launched him into space while he was unconscious. The ship malfunctioned, so instead of the peaceful world they had promised, the Hulk landed on Sakaar, a brutal, war-torn, gladiatorial world where he was immediately enslaved and forced to fight in the arena. The most powerful being on Earth enslaved, made to fight for the entertainment of a tyrant. But here's the thing about the Hulk. He is not just strong, he gets stronger the angrier he gets. And on Sakaar, he had plenty to be angry about. He fought his way up through the arena ranks, he led a revolution, he overthrew the tyrant, and he became something nobody on Earth had ever allowed him to be, a king, a beloved king. He built something. He fell in love with a warrior woman named Kyra. She was pregnant with his child. For the first time in his entire tortured existence, Bruce Banner had found something that felt like peace. And then the shuttle exploded. The warp core of the shuttle that had brought Bruce Banner to Sakaar, the same shuttle the Illuminati had used to exile him, detonated. The explosion destroyed the capital city. Millions of people died. Kyra died. Everything the Hulk had built, his kingdom, his family, his peace, reduced to ash in a single moment. And the Hulk blamed the Illuminati. Now, whether they actually caused the explosion is something the comics play with it as, the evidence is not truly supporting that. It may have been an accident, and there are hints that others may have been responsible, but to the Hulk, it did not matter. They sent him there, they put him on that planet. In his mind, they were responsible. He turned the ship around, and he came home. World War Hulk begins the moment his ship enters Earth's atmosphere, and what happens next is not a rampage, it is not a tantrum, it is a campaign, actually. The Hulk comes back with his Warbound, a group of gladiators who had fought beside him on the planet Sakaar, who had sworn an oath of brotherhood. And he comes back with a plan. He does not just start destroying things, he sends a message to every hero on Earth, telling them exactly what he's going to do. He is going to find every member of the Illuminati. He is going to make them fight, not to the death, but to defeat. He wants them to feel what he felt, helpless, powerless, at someone else's mercy. His first target is Black Bolt. So while he was en route from Sakaar back to the planet Earth, he made a little stop, a little detour, if you will, on the blue area of the moon. And his first target there was the leader of the Inhumans, Black Bolt, the Inhuman king whose voice can level mountains. So he actually engaged Black Bolt in battle as he arrived on the moon to their Inhuman city of Attilan, and he beats Black Bolt, not quickly, not easily. Black Bolt screams at him, a scream that can shatter continents, and the Hulk takes it, and he keeps coming, and he wins. Then he comes on Earth upon arriving on our planet. He encases the entire island of Manhattan in a force field. He gives the civilians time to evacuate, and then he issues his ultimatum. Send me the Illuminati or I tear the city apart. So what follows next is some of the most brutal, emotionally complex superhero combat ever put on the comics page. Iron Man comes at him in the Hulkbuster armor, the most powerful armor Tony Stark has ever built, specifically designed to fight the Hulk. The Hulk destroys it. Then he destroys the backup. Then he beats Tony Stark bloody and buries him in rubble. She-Hulk, Bruce Banner's own cousin, also known as Jennifer Walters, who loves him, tries to reach out to him, but the Hulk will not hear it. Doctor Strange, desperate, channels a demon to give himself enough power to fight the Hulk. That is not enough, as the Hulk beats him anyway, and forces Strange to burn through so much power that Doctor Strange's hands are destroyed. His ability to practice magic during this fight has been crippled. The X-Men send a delegation. Professor X is not among them. He was not part of the Illuminati decision, and Hulk lets them walk away. That tells you something about him. This is not a random destruction. He knows who he is angry at. He is angry at the people who made that decision. Everyone else is collateral risk, and he is trying to minimize that. The Sentry, Marvel's Superman equivalent, a being of near infinite power, eventually faces him in what becomes one of the most anticipated fights in comics history. And it is extraordinary. Two beings of almost incomprehensible power tearing at each other in the ruins of Manhattan. The Hulk wins, or rather they both lose, as they revert to their human forms of Bruce Banner and Bob Reynolds, and the Hulk is the last one standing. That's Bruce Banner. And here's where World War Hulk becomes something more than a great action story, because you have to ask yourself, was the Hulk right? Not about the destruction, not about putting civilians at risk, but about the fundamental grievance. The Illuminati made a decision about Bruce Banner's life without his consent. They decided he was too dangerous to exist freely on Earth. They exiled him, and their exile, even if unintentionally, led to the death of millions, including his pregnant wife. So the Illuminati thought they were doing the right thing. Tony Stark genuinely believed the Hulk was an extinction level threat. Quite a tongue twister there. Reed Richards ran the probability calculations. They convinced themselves they had no choice, and they made the call that Bruce Banner, despite being a human being, despite having the same rights as any other person, did not to get a vote regarding his own fate. So there is something in the comics community called the Illuminati problem. These are the smartest, most powerful people in the universe, and they keep doing things in secret that blow up catastrophically. Civil War, Planet Hulk, Avengers vs. X-Men, Secret Invasion, over and over again, the pattern repeats. A small group of powerful people deciding they know best, act without consent or transparency, and the consequences are devastating. World War Hulk is the bill coming due. The Hulk is the physical embodiment of every consequence the Illuminati refused to account for. And writer Greg Pak, who wrote both Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, is smart enough to give the Hulk a code. He is not trying to kill anyone, he is trying to make them face what they did. So there's a profound difference between revenge and justice. And the Hulk, in his fury, is actually trying to get something closer to justice. Until the very end, until the moment everything falls apart, not because of a hero, but because of grief, and what happens in those final pages changes the entire moral weight of the story. So I'm not going to spoil the ending entirely, because if you have not read World War Hulk, you need to read it, because I will tell you this, the resolution involves the revelation about who actually caused the explosion on Sakaar, and it changes everything, because it means the Hulk's war, as righteous as his anger was built on a foundation that was not entirely what he thought it was. And that is the genius of Greg Pak's writing. He lets you root for the Hulk, he makes the Illuminati's decision feel genuinely wrong, and then he complicates everything, because this is what great stories do. They do not let you stay comfortable, they push you to hold two true things at once. The Illuminati were wrong to exile Bruce Banner, and Hulk's war caused him to harm people who did not deserve it. The legacy of World War Hulk is enormous. It fundamentally changed the Hulk as a character. It introduced the Warbound, who were going to have their own stories. It set up storylines that are still playing out in Marvel Comics today. The Red Hulk, Scar, Bruce Banner's son from Sakaar, the fractured relationships between the Illuminati members, all of this flows from this story. And it asks a question that Marvel has never fully answered. What do you do when the heroes are wrong? When the people who have the power to protect everyone use that power to make decisions that destroy individual lives? World War Hulk does not give you a clean answer. It gives you the Hulk standing in the ruins, grief and rage, indistinguishable from each other, and it asks you to sit with that. That is what great comics do, and World War Hulk is one of the greatest. So if you want to read it, World War Hulk is available as a collected trade paperback. I would recommend reading Planet Hulk first to get full emotional weight of what Bruce Banner lost. Both stories are absolutely a great investment of your time. Now I'm going to hand things back to Zoe for her take on the story, and then also she will provide our weekly engagement question. Zoe, what do you think?
Okay, so having heard all of that, my take is this. The Illuminati were absolutely wrong. I do not care how smart you are. I do not care how good your intentions are. You do not get to make a decision about someone else's entire life in secret without their knowledge or consent. Full stop. That is not heroism. That is exactly what the villains do, except with better PR. And the fact that it blew up in their faces literally doesn't make me feel sorry for them. It makes me feel like the universe has a sense of justice, even when the courts do not. So here is our question for you this week. And we genuinely want to know your answer. So drop it in the comments right now. If you were a member of the Illuminati and you had a vote on whether to send the Hulk to another planet, knowing everything they knew at the time, would you have voted yes or no, and why? But And this is a big but. I also think the Hulk's war hurt people who had nothing to do with that decision, and that is the tragedy of it. When you let rage drive the car, innocent people end up in the wreckage, even when your anger is completely justified.
Love that question because I genuinely do not know how I would vote, and that is exactly why World War Hulk has stayed with me for 20 years. Thank you for listening to Powers and Panels. I am Blaze, she is Zoe, and we will see you in 2 weeks for episode 2, where we're talking about the death of Superman, one of the most important comic book events in comic books history. I mean, this was a global phenomenon, my loyal listeners, something you do not want to miss. So until then, keep reading those comic books, keep thinking, please like us, please subscribe, keep questioning those heroes' motivations and their actions. We'll see you soon.